Hi, this is Mary Kay. Today we're going to be painting a great blue heron from a photo from Audubon Society that was hanging in Judy's office. So I've just minimized it a little bit so that it will fit on a 1/8 sheet of paper. I traced it with water soluble tracing paper, so these lines will disappear. First thing I'm going to do is paint the background. I'm not going to use any PBO. I'm going to just wet around these lines. If I lose the outside lines, it's okay. This is just water. I could use a bigger brush. Go a little faster. This has some golds in it or something, which is fine. I always get my copy wet, I think, when I'm doing this. Yeah, this brush is a lot faster. I'll just go up to these lines and then I'll go in with a smaller brush. Okay, and then I can just go in a little closer. Here in Half Moon Bay on social media, we post a lot of pictures of great blue herons, and we just call them all Brian. So here's a picture of Brian. We see them everywhere, and every single one of them is named Brian. Oops. All right, so now this background is kind of brown and it's very blurry in the background, so I think I'm just going to paint this with burnt sienna. I'm going to see how far I can get with just burnt sienna. Right now what I'm doing is trying to get a nice puddle. My paint's dry from last week. I didn't paint this week. It would be good if I squished out a little bit there. I wouldn't be having this problem. Alrighty. I love this color. It's really a reddish brown. Very quiet in my house today, except for the ice maker. If I have a dark streak going across one side of the bird, of the Brian, then it needs to be the same color on the other side. Or if I have a dark streak, same thing. So the colors need to go across. I'm just going to put this all the way across the bottom and even sign my name in there. I'm going to add more colors. I'm going to add some darker brown into this. So I'm going to sign my name. Sign over here. I need to do it about 1 inch up, more or so. This is my bamboo signer. I just write like a pencil into the wet paint. So I go and cut pieces of bamboo from a friend's yard, and then I whittle them, and they dry out, and I get these signers. Okay, I'm gonna go in a little closer around these wings here. Or these feathers. I think these feathers have a special name. I'm really respect birders and have often thought I should become a birder, but I'm very, very amateur-y on my birding. What I'm going to do now is put a little bit of dark. I'm going to go into my sepia and mix it in there. That's actually a lot closer to the colors in the photo. So there's just right in this area. This board that I'm painting on is a mahogany plywood. It's called Luan. And the reason that I put my paper on a board is so that I can lift and tilt my painting. I'm also going to put some more of this just down in these corners. Probably right over my signature. Make that show up. And along the top corner also. The tops of this. Again, if I have a streak going across here, it needs to continue on the other side of the bird. Ooh, I see I missed a spot down there by the neck. So, that was mostly, that's too dark. It's mostly pure burnt sienna, so I gotta try and, hey. So if I have that color there, I need to have it here too, going all the way across. The reason is, if you have the main thing you're looking at suddenly changes color behind it, it confuses the mind. Okay. Just going around some of these feathers a little better. And I had a little blur there. That's going to be dark though, so that'll go out. I'm just putting some blurry streaks across this now. Some grasses. These were all gonna blur and fade. So that's my background. I am tempted to just take a little bit of water, maybe a smaller brush, and just see how this splatters. And just have some spots. Might regret that. In the end, if I regret it, don't do it. Okay, I'm going to start with French Ultramarine Blue, because these are really two of my favorite colors. French Ultramarine Blue and Burnt Sienna. You can paint a whole painting with just these two colors. If you feel like you want to put a little cerulean into your French, I can see why you would want to do that. What I want to do right now is not touch all the wet background, so I'm just going to start painting in this part in here. There's the tiniest bit of light showing right in there, so I'm trying to not paint over my white, my tiny little white area. An awfully small brush. Alrighty, let's try this. Oh, that's better. This is such a nice brush. I keep looking at the picture to see what color it is, where I'm going to put my next brush stroke. Right now I'm painting right in that area. I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to bring that down a little bit. So. I'm just painting these blue feathers in the wing, the underwing. I'm gonna just paint with water right in here. Is it dry? Not quite yet. Okay. I'm going to keep going. Now what I'm going to do is mix the French Ultramarine Blue and the Burnt Sienna together. Making it darker. Darker blue. I see these little light areas of burnt sienna. I'm going to go in with burnt sienna now. Let's see what happens if I touch this. They might get fuzzy. I'm holding my breath. I don't recommend that for you. I like how where the paper's white, the burnt sienna is shining, like the light shining through it. I like that. Not so thrilled with how it's touching the background and blending out, but oh well, it's a watercolor. The mistakes are always the best part anyway. Not too, I kind of like that in there. All right, I'm gonna keep going. I think what I'm gonna do now is work on this wing. So I'm going to start with this darker blue. So the darker blue is the French and the burnt sienna mixed together. So there's a tiny little area of light. I think it's really kind of light shining off the feathers and water. And then these white feathers are not really totally white. Going into cerulean to just put a little different color of blue in that little spot right there. Might just put some of it here too. Just want the blues to change often. All right, so I'm squinting at these white feathers here. They're not totally white. They have a little bit of gray in them, if anything. So a little bit of maybe some cerulean in here. I see a little bit of burnt sienna in here, maybe not that much. And I'm gonna lift that and see if I can, oh, it's pretty light. When I get the dark feathers behind it, I think this will look nice and light. Okay, now I'm gonna go for more cerulean. No. Yeah, I was digging into the French, but I meant the cerulean. Plain little spot. This is my cerulean. Okay. I'm going to do cerulean first and then put French over it. I think I need to let that dry before I put the French over it. Okay, I'm going to work on the neck or the beak. Now, let's see, and the eye. I think the eyes are kind of yellow. So what would happen if I take a little bit of burnt sienna and add a little bit of yellow to it? Oh, I think I get a pretty good Heron eye color. Very, very small, but there's the tiniest amount of a yellow ring, so I'll fill that in with dark lines around it. And the beak is kind of burnt sienna too, honestly. Okay, now I'm going for that dark blue again, so my dark blue is French Ultra and burnt sienna. You can get a lot of variety with these two colors. Now, herons have these feathers that come off the back of their heads. This photo doesn't show it, so I just have to paint it in anyway. This brush just has the tiniest couple of hairs at its very tip, so I can really, if I'm careful, just do some really fine painting. And I like where it blurs. There's little white hairs showing in this part here, so if I'm careful and leave some white showing, that'll be the best. If I can't quite do it, well, that's all right too. I am going to try to take my scraper and see if I can make hairs and lift hairs. If the paint's just a little bit drying, I can make little white marks. And if it's a little bit wet, it'll make some dark marks. Either way, I kind of get like a little furry, hairy furry thing to it. I'm gonna go in with my tiny little bitty brush and try to get this a little smaller here. And there's a black dot in the middle of this eye. Wish me luck. I'll try and leave a glint of light in it. He's got a wild hair to him. Now this, I'm gonna see if I can, that's not quite the right color. Let's go back with this brush. Let's go to the French and the cerulean, a little bit of the dark. Okay, here we go, let's try this. Here again, we're getting some little white streaks in those feathers. So if I can just leave that light blue showing, that's how I can really get that painted. And there's just a couple of these showing through here. Okay, I think I'm going to leave that alone for a little bit and work on the legs and these fluffy feathers here. And the little tail that's showing. Kind of hard to see what's going on right in that one spot. I just added more French and burnt sienna to this, kind of my dark bluey black, bluey browny black. And now I'm noticing that this spot where I'm pointing to, I think, is actually the pond behind it. I'm going to make the bird a little bit more. And it's going to be pretty hard to get that one color I need, but I think it's just pure. I can get this color to blend over. Maybe nobody will notice that I didn't have that painted at first. I think that the legs are mostly, well, they're the same two colors, burnt sienna and French ultramarine blue. The thing about birds is their knees bend backwards from what humans do. So that's their knee right there. Brian's knee. Same thing over here, burnt sienna and French ultramarine blue. I'm going to darken it at the knee and down. Really a lot darker. I'm going to put some cerulean into that to kind of get it to shine a little. Put a little bit there too. Alrighty. Am I happy enough with all of that? I'm not sure. I feel that there should be some darker streaks in this. Some little lines. I'm going to use my little brush and put some little hairs in here. Because my little bamboo signer didn't really do much. And what's going on over here? Just need some painting with water to sort of soften that here too, I think. This is pretty white. I think it needs just a little bit of shadow in it. Also, I'm going to try some blue shadow in it. And okay, so what I'm going to do is squint at this bird. I think I need to put another layer of darker blue right in here. And I think right in here it's darker too. And so what I do when I'm trying to figure out what something needs is I squint at my picture, my painting, and then I squint at the photograph, and then I can see the values better. So I think I'm feeling like it just needs a little bit more dark. I don't quite have this bird dark enough. Notice I'm not painting every feather. I don't have the patience to do it. I don't really think that it adds that much to the painting to have every perfect feather, because I'm not taking a photograph. I'm painting a painting. Kind of smudging those a little bit. That's better. Okay, I like that better. Okay, I feel like there should be more. So really in this area here. So I'm squinting at my painting. Okay. One thing that's not clear to me is that this body and this wing are in front of this one. So what I need to do, I think, is just go in with a little bit darker line from here, showing that this is in front. Of that wing. That helped. This is in front. And this is behind, so it's going to be a little lighter, maybe a little more blurry. I'll dab at it just a bit. And that should make that look like it's farther. And then I can also go in here a little bit and put in some more detail and darker in the neck so that we know that this part is also in front of that wing, which goes back. Okay, I think I'm going to stop with the bird. And now I want to take the brown, and there seems to be a little line where the feet are going into the water. It sort of disturbed the water a little bit. So I want to take burnt sienna and just a little bit of French into that and make a little line down here where this has disturbed the water. And then I want to start painting grasses. So now I'm going to take a lot of burnt sienna and sepia. Oh no, we can do it with French. Sepia. Okay. Grasses go all the different ways. Sometimes they get bent. So what I'm doing is darkening these corners and then making the grass go up from them And I can do this with just my brush. This is a kind of a thick brush, but don't make any blade of grass come out of the same spot. Every time you make a blade of grass, it comes out of a different spot. These blades are coming up pretty far. Then you can go in with a smaller brush and put a few more over the top of the skinny ones. Might be a good idea to have a rigger brush at this point to make all these lines. Good thing to use a rigger. Okay, so I want to try to make it look like, well, there's definitely grasses coming up over the legs. I want to kind of hide those. Oh, those are good. Those were a couple good ones, nice and skinny. And I want to just see if I can, oh, this might not be the best time. I should have done this earlier. I'm trying to just sort of soften this big line that I made. It's got little wiggles really below it. Should have put those in before I put my grasses in. And there is a little bit of a reflection from this point down. There's a little reflection here, and this guy down, it's got to be exactly below it at the same angle. Just going to dot those so they're not so obvious. Okay, well, I'm not sure that many more brush strokes are going to make this any better, so I think it's time to stop. Thanks for watching.